All right, Dave, we're here at the CCA workbench for the Fish Bites Trading Post, Rigs and Techniques.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Well, you know, a sea trout is a croaker, and he lives on the flats and in the, deep trenches and in the canals a lot of times around places where we live.
Very true.
So it's one of the very first, saltwater fish that a lot of guys catch. And it's, like you were saying earlier, everybody can catch them. They're a lot of fun to catch. They eat a lot of different things, so they're easy to target. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the ways that we can do that. And first off, we're going to talk about some of the baits that we can use there. We got some of these Savage lures over here. We got that's the prop walker, and what the prop walker is. Yeah, it's got that little prop at the back, and you can close those wings tight and then make it just a popper.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really cool thing, and it's a topwater bait. And
it's my favorite way to catch a trout is on topwater.
Yeah.
Because they're so aggressive when they come to the top. They have huge mouths, so they make a huge splash.
Right, and that's real easy for anybody to use. You just throw it out and reel it back, or you just pop it and let it sit.
Right.
And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't know is you got to let that thing sit sometimes.
Sometimes they eat it when it's sitting still.
Right, if you're moving it too much a lot, you might not get as many bites.
Right.
And then that other popper there, the Panic popper from Savage Gear, big mouth on the front of it. It spits really good, nice saltwater hooks on there.
He looks surprised.
He does.
He will be when a trout eats him.
He's scared when the trout comes to eat him. And what I was saying before, you'd be surprised how big a bait a trout can eat. We used to fish for him with mullet. We'd put a big mullet on and catch a 2-pound trout on a mullet that weighed a half a pound.
They'll eat a bait that's almost the same size as
I don't know how they do it, but they manage it somehow.
What about this guy?
Well, that's called the Twitch Reaper, and that's a good bait to use if you're fishing around schools of mullet, just like those other two baits. Actually,
I love the shape of this bait. It looks like a pogey or a mullet.
Right. When you see trout harassing schools of bait, that's a good bait to throw in there and try to get them. It's a subsurface bait, and
kind of walks the dog underneath
the water. Correct. And we also have we use a lot of jigs when we're trying to catch trout because they like to eat shrimp and crustaceans as well as fish.
A live shrimp or a minnow or a little mullet on a jig head is always been a go-to.
And the trocar boxer jig in all different sizes. A half.
These are mean. These hooks are mean, man.
Very, very sharp and nice. Silhouette. You put a little paddle tail on there and just have the fellas throw it out and reel it back over a grass flat.
Easy and very effective.
When it gets cold, the trout will school up in like a canal or something in deeper water because they don't like the cold that much, and they'll get into the deeper water. You throw that in, you can just catch one after the other of a little trout with those things. So those are really good. I also like to throw a spoon for trout.
Probably something not a lot of people do, but it can be pretty effective.
It really works, and I like to put a little swivel on the front there, and maybe replace the split ring if I have to.
Right.
And because that just wobbles, and again, it's a search bait type of thing.
It's real easy. You just throw it out and
reel it back, and once you find them, you can slow down and use some other stuff if you'd like. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the rods and reels you would use. This is the nice Clash 2, Penn Clash 2 2500. It's made for inshore fishing. It comes in sizes 1,000 up to 5,000. It's got a full metal body and side plate, keeps the water out and everything.
Smooth, man.
Very, very smooth. And put it on this Fenwick HMG. The Fenwick HMG was the very first high modulus graphite rod ever made. In I think 1971 or something they came out with the first one, but they've done a lot of different stuff to it. They got the really nice grip on there, where you can
feel the blank.
Actually has the blank in your hand, so you'll feel every little bit that comes into it. And really nice rod. And if you put some of that Berkeley X9 braid on there, I think that's 15-pound test braid, super thin. It says 15 pounds on it. It breaks at 31 pounds.
Wow.
So there's no trout swimming that's going to break that line.
No, that's right.
Unless something horrible
if there is,
happens.
I hope I catch them.
Yeah, unless something horrible happens. So, and in the last resort, Paige was saying, popping cork and maybe a fish bite shrimp underneath there. Any kind of shrimp imitation.
Yeah, that's if you have a kid on the boat that's never fished before or something, that's the go-to. But for anybody really, it's a really good. This time of year when it gets hot, high tide where I am, popping cork with a fish bites or a live shrimp works. You can catch them all day.
There you
Thanks,
go,
Dave.
man.